The Carolina Hurricanes have a 2-1 lead in their series with the Washington Capitals. Zach Martin of Locked On Hurricanes is here to talk about that, how they're shutting down Alexander Ovechkin, and the keys to winning the series. All that and more on today's Locked On NHL podcast.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Gil Martin here, and welcome everybody to the Monday edition of the Locked On NHL podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On NHL your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts so you get new episodes as soon as they drop. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. It is great to welcome back to the show the host of Locked On Hurricanes, Zach Martin. And Zach, you've got to be pleased with the 2-1 lead that the Canes have after 3 games of this series.
Yeah, no, definitely feeling really good. And as always, Gil, thank you for the invite. Always love coming on and talk hockey with you. But yeah, no, what a way to kind of put yourself into a good series lead, shut them out. The Capitals 4-0 in game 3. Frederik Andersen made 21 saves. Absolutely otherworldly playoff run right now that he's got going on in his, 7 starts. It's just absolutely crazy how great he's been playing for the Canes. But yeah, you're up 2-1. You got game 4 on Monday night. If you take care of business in that one, now you got a 3-1 stranglehold on the best Eastern Conference team going back to Washington. But yeah, right now, setting themselves up pretty good. And just, you got to love the fact that it was just a complete team effort. Special teams was absolutely insane. 2 for 2 on both sides. And just, depth was a very big thing for the Canes in that game. So overall, just a great team win to take this series lead.
Talk to me about the goaltending. You mentioned the shutout, Andersen playing very, very well. What has he done to rise to the occasion here in the playoffs so far this year?
I mean, it's just kind of the way he just has been for the Canes. I know last postseason maybe wasn't the greatest for him or the team, especially in round 2. Had, above a 2 average, a little bit closer towards 3 rather than the bottom 2. Save percentage was under 9. But if you look back at how he was 2 seasons ago, sub 2, over 930 save percentage. But now you look at this one, he's got a 132 goals against, a 940 save percentage, and he's 5-2. Like, the only save percentage that's better than this one right now was back in 2016 when he was with the Ducks, where it was a 947, and he's now at a 940. And this goals against, Gil, 132, his absolute best. Like, he has been on an absolute run outside of, he's given up 3 goals back in the first round and 2 goals in game 2 that they lost in Washington. Those are the most. Every other game, ones. And then, of course, this one was just a shutout. So, for the most part, he's just on an absolute run that goes to show why he got that 1-year contract extension for $2.7 million. And that's not even including the $750,000 bonuses that could be into the contract next year. So, that's maybe a tad over 3 with the bonuses. So, yeah, he has been the calm, cool, collected Frederik Andersen that the Hurricanes fans mostly know of how he has been. And I think for the fact that all the, hoopla or the, backlash of, he isn't shining under the bright lights. I mean, he's shining pretty bright right now. Like I said, even 2 playoffs ago, he took the Hurricanes to an Eastern Conference final where they lost every game against Florida by 1 goal. It's just Frederik Andersen has been absolutely dialed in this playoff run.
How much pressure is there on this team? They've done so well in the regular season for so long, but the playoffs, they've always sort of found a way to come up short. How is this team reacting to that pressure right now?
Well, I think that the funny part with the pressure is the fact that a lot of people thought this was going to be a transition year for the Canes. They lost 6 guys in this previous offseason. There were some people making, hot takes of, hey, they might even make the whole playoffs in general. And they went and were the second best team in the Metro. They were, poised to be the second, seed in the entire East. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Of course, pressing guys, it just is what it is. But This is the healthiest team the Hurricanes have had coming into the playoffs. Last year, you lose Jesper Foch, you lose Brett Pesce early against the Islanders. Seth Jarvis gets hurt. Then you look at 2 postseasons ago, you lose Andrei Svechnikov like a week after the trade deadline. So it's just, those are the unfortunate things, but the Hurricanes are the healthiest they've been. They can run with strategy now, just having guys like Tyson Jost and Mark Jankowski, as healthy extras, or Riley Stillman and stuff like that. And I think the pressure is definitely on the Canes to perform well, but it's also like, well, the Hurricanes, from a lot of people, thought, hey, maybe wild card could be the best of the outcome that they have. So they're kind of playing with house money right now. So I think that whatever you're going to get is really going to be beneficial. I think the depth that they have right now definitely helps them proceed this run a lot longer than what some people maybe thought of. So, I mean, we got a lot of series to go, but I think the pressure it's different on who you ask. But for me, there's some, but not to like, oh, let's just blow it up, or maybe it's the coach. It's not that serious.
Alexander Ovechkin has been held completely scoreless throughout the first 3 games of this series. What have the Hurricanes done besides the goaltending to limit his effectiveness?
I think just playing some great all-around team defense and just kind of being able to put themselves into a spot where Ovechkin can't be in his office and do his thing. The thing is, the Hurricanes right now, in terms of the penalty kill, are 21 for 22 in the playoffs, and even then, they're maybe getting 2, maybe 3 penalties a game, if that. And even then, some of their penalties have been 4v4s. So they're not really giving the Capitals a whole lot of opportunities to do their thing on the power play, which basically is what Ovechkin does now. You can definitely tell he's lost his step. He's not that dynamic guy where he can just move around constantly. It's kind of like he might have a shot here and there, or he's mostly in his office when they're on the power play, kind of just standing there being stagnant. So I think the fact that for the Hurricanes not giving them the opportunities to have 4 or 5 power plays a game and giving him the opportunities and having to make him work and try to do it, get that done, plus selling out, putting their bodies in front of pucks, and they've been out hitting the Capitals, surprisingly enough, all series. So they're kind of like matching their hitting effort, but not to where it's putting themselves in a bad position. They're doing the hits in a smart way. So I think just being able to play a complete team defense and kind of neutralizing OV in a way where it's like, we're not going to give you the power play opportunities that you usually get. It's more of like, no, you're going to have to work very hard to get them. And luckily it's kind of worked out where they've contained them. Like even when the Capitals won in game 2, he sat out for a good majority of that third period, which was kind of insane to think because the Hurricanes were only down by 1. Yeah. For a good bit of that game. So it's kind of surprising how Spencer Carberry didn't really use him. So it goes to show that maybe there's something else going on too. But I think just the overall team defense and the goaltending has really found a way to neutralize the greatest natural goal scorer in the NHL. And it's been very huge for the series. And that's why it's one of the reasons why the Hurricanes are up 2-1 right now.
So what are the keys to finishing this series off? What has to happen for the Canes to win?
I think just keep doing what they're doing on the special teams. Like I said, they're now 9 for 27. They're the number 1 power play unit out of all the remaining teams. The next best is Edmonton at 30%. So I'm not saying you have to score a power play goal every night, but if you do every other, and if it's at least one, hey, you're putting yourself in a good spot. Because we all know, Gil, winning on the road and your power play has to be really good to perform, and that gives you deeper into the playoffs. Well, they've already won twice on the road. Their power play, like I said, they're 9 for 27. That's 33.3%. You would love to see that. So if they keep anywhere near 30-ish, you're looking good. And on the PK, outside of the one they gave up in game 2, they're 95.5%. The next best is Dallas at 87.1. So the Hurricanes have the number 1 power play and the number 1 power kill units out of the remaining 8 teams. That's really good. That's going to keep you going. So if you limit the penalties, then you're setting yourself a better because now it's a lot of 5-on-5, and the depth scoring has been very huge. Jack Roslovic just got his first Hurricanes playoff goal in Game 3. Same thing for Eric Robinson. That goes a long way too. So as long as the depth and the health stays strong for the Hurricanes, they're going to be looking good. And Frederik Andersen has been absolutely unstoppable. If he just keeps doing what he's doing, being that calm, cool, collected goaltender, they're going to be doing fine. And honestly, too, a guy who's been really popping off that I don't think a lot of people maybe thought he was going to do something, but they didn't see him doing this. How about Andrei Svechnikov? 6 goals for the Hurricanes. The next guy is at 3. He's already doubled the next player already. And he's the only guy right now in franchise history to have 6 goals in the team's first 8 playoff games. That's how dialed in Andrei Svechnikov is right now. And one of those games was a hat trick in Game 4 against the Devils.
All right, Zach, why don't you tell our viewers and our listeners where they can find the podcast and where they can find you on social media?
Yeah, of course. If you want to find me, I'm One True Zach on X. On Blue Sky, I'm at the Zachary Martin. I have link trees, so you can check out all my stuff, podcast-wise and article-wise with the Hockey Writers. And if you want to check out the podcast itself, it's LO_Hurricanes on X. And, of course, Locked On Hurricanes on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. And, Gil, thank you, as always, for having me on. It's always great talking to you.
Thanks, Zach. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. But that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and save more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year.